Hey loves, it's Britt, and in this video I'm going to talk about what it means to have your natal Saturn in the sign of Leo. So what is Saturn? Saturn is the planet of karma, structure, responsibility, difficulties, hard life challenges, but also it shows an element of mastery once we do learn those lessons inherent in the sign and house placement and aspects of our natal Saturn. So Saturn in Leo is a very interesting position because, some astrologers would still say that Saturn rules Aquarius as well as Capricorn. So Aquarius sometimes is said to have two rulers, Uranus and Saturn. So with that being said, technically Saturn in Leo is kind of in its fall or detriment. So this is a difficult position, and I mean all Saturn placements are difficult. I talked about Saturn and Scorpio the other day, and I was like, oh my god, this is a difficult position. And I know, my natal Saturn in Pisces, that's a difficult position. So, they're all difficult, but this one particularly can really make a person really unaware of their inner light and so desperate to find self-love and to find a sense of their unique creative expression and self, and then always feeling, inadequate and quite unable to find that. So the pain with this one is, often coming from childhood, we have an upbringing that did not allow the child to be who they uniquely were. And the child was just an extension of the parents, right? And the child, when he or she would try to express themselves and show some unique creativity, or, like I'm getting the image of like, the child did a piece of artwork and then the parent said, oh, that's horrible. Just stick to what we do best, right? Which is whatever their profession is or whatever they, think is the right way to creatively express. So the child has felt put down for their unique creativity. And that's something that they are actually meant to develop in this lifetime the most. So that's why it's so hurtful and so damaging to their ego and to their individuality, is because with Saturn and Leo, they are meant to own that creativity and to express it. And then, in the higher side of this, because that's been so hard and painful for them to do, they actually can end up doing it very, very well. So this position is so creative because we have Saturn in the sun's sign. So they're actually able to have that staying power to create something of value, right? So it's Saturn in a fixed sign in the sun's sign. So they're able to actually create something or express something in a way that is lasting, right? Because Saturn is the father of time and commitments. And so they can be some of the most committed people to their goals and to, whatever that expression is, if they can get over that feeling of, being so inadequate. So with this placement, it can be common to have excessive shyness, and also just like, there's a really strong rigidity. Like I can actually notice this in all Saturn and all of the fixed signs, but especially with Leo and Scorpio, it seems to be the most, just in my personal experience of observing these people. So they have this rigidity, like they have this lack of spontaneity. Like you can kind of tell when you're around them that they're so controlled and they're, very calculating. They're not free. Like they're not a free spirit. They're not like, impulsive or like romantic, and they can be all of these things, depending on other things going on in the chart. But there's this uncomfortability with like that Leonian, that Leo expression of heart warmth, right? So this obviously extends to love affairs as well. That's, traditionally Saturn and Leo, that this is one of the areas of difficulty is, playfulness, flirtation, love affairs. These can be areas where they're very rigid and very fearful and very easily hurt, actually. And although they won't usually let that on, this placement is very sensitive to any criticism or any rejection, so much so that love can become transactional, where these people can really lack generosity. So generosity and expression of love and heart warmth is kind of like all the areas of Leo, and what someone with the sun in Leo or Venus in Leo would do really naturally. But with Saturn in Leo, it's like they have a need to express that, but it's so locked up in there, and there's so much fear around it, and they can actually end up having this kind of transactional quality about love where they'll give to you, but they want to make sure that you're giving them back in return first. Like, okay, I'll express my love for you, but I need to make sure that you're doing double before I even give you one I love you. You've already said it twice, and then I'll say it, but you better say it twice first, right? So there's that kind of energy, and of course that's not really what true love is. So one of the life lessons for this placement is to learn how to love freely and to heal. Oh my goodness, I gotta plug in my laptop or it is going to die, and then this video will just stop recording. So hold on a second here, you guys. Where does that plug in? There it is. Okay, we're good, loves. Yeah, so the lessons with this placement is around the heart, okay? And, in past lifetimes, some astrologers would say that this placement has had a lack of lovingness or givingness or, some type of heart block, right? So in this lifetime, it's really about healing that heart block, and it'll really come down to childhood and rewriting those inner messages that made them feel inadequate or made them feel like their unique light and their creative expression, their expression of love was not good enough. Or even with this placement, it's not even just not good enough, it's that it's actually like they were made to feel so wrong for just simply being themselves, and that they needed to be a different way. They needed to be, more like the parents. The parents probably weren't realizing they were doing this in most cases. Maybe in some cases they were, but this child has really taken on a lot of negative beliefs, and this could be from even past lives. Like if the childhood itself in this lifetime was not super difficult, it could be, coming from another lifetime where it's just been beaten into them that like their heart, their light, their love, their creativity is just not okay to be expressed. So they have to kind of dig through that and peel all the layers of that onion and, allow that pain, that block, that wound, which becomes crystallized in the heart. It becomes crystallized in the body. That's what's creating that rigidity, that fear of opening up, that fear of giving love or expressing their creative talents. It's like, it's because of that wound. So once they can kind of look at it, and even if they can just have awareness of it, like, oh, that's why I'm like that. That's why I behave this way. That's why I have these fears and this shyness or this, struggle in love affairs. And once they can just kind of have awareness, then they can start to, slowly but surely, the image that I'm getting is like the candle, right? It's like it's flickering. You can't quite get that lighter to work. It's like, come on, let's get it going here. And then it finally bursts open and lights the candle, and the flame, it starts to get brighter and brighter and hotter. And, that's representative of the flame in their heart when they can really allow it to go. And then that flame can burn for years and hours, and, they can have the commitment to their lover, to their children, to their creative pursuit and their expression of their unique I am. They can have that flame longer than anybody else. Like when all the other Saturns have, walked home and called it a night, because they don't have that Saturn in the sun sign, these people, okay, they can keep going, right? And so they're capable of creative works of art. They can be actors. That's common with this placement. Also, children, traditionally the astrological textbooks would say that this placement tends to not have children, or if they do have children, there's some sort of difficulty around there. But the way that I've actually seen it is like they have such a deep seriousness around like raising children because of what happened to them in their childhood that, yeah, sometimes they don't end up having children of their own. But they could be very good, step parents, or very good, aunts or uncles or whatever. But also when they do have their own children, though, with this placement, yes, it can be a struggle. But what I've seen is that the seriousness that they have, it's like they're so determined to actually allow their children to express their unique individuality and be creative and do their own thing. And like they can actually be some of the best parents, right? Because we have Saturn and Leo. So, once they have awareness of this internal message that's been going on within them, they can actually be the best parents, the most loyal lovers, the most creative people on the planet. But it takes a lot with this placement. And I think more commonly you'll see with people with this placement that they have all kinds of complexes, and there can also be an overcompensation too. So, the person who feels deeply inadequate in love could have many love affairs and never really feel like, validated by that, or feel like they're getting what they want to get out of this. See, there could be this like really egotistical behavior with this placement because the ego is actually so like not on a strong foundation that when it's in that overcompensation mode, nothing is never enough, right? Or they could have like, 10 different creative pursuits going and never feel recognized, and maybe they are actually being recognized by people, like maybe they're even famous or something, but it's never enough to fill that hole of not internally validating themselves, right? So we can see some interesting behavior with these people, and it's sort of obvious. Like once they have Saturn and Leo, I feel like with this placement, it's sort of obvious to see that they have Saturn and Leo. And I'm not laughing. I mean, it's just like when you know astrology, you just know all things, right? And I have a lot of compassion for them, and like I think, yeah, inner child healing is big with this one, or past life healing, or just going within and freeing up that heart energy. And then once that heart energy is freed, they can be incredibly magnetic and very powerful people. Like there's strong leadership qualities in this placement. So yeah, anything else that I want to think about here? Yeah, so in love too, they can have real hangups around loyalty and like complexes around partners, having trust with partners in love, and then they can sometimes tend to actually manifest that which they most fear, which is common with Saturn placements. Actually, is the complex, the thing that you most feared ends up happening. And then, but why does that happen? It's because you are learning, right? You are learning that valuable lesson. And with Saturn, it doesn't come easy. It doesn't come fast. It's lifelong learning, right? So yeah, I think that's all I'll say for today on this placement. I hope that was helpful. Yeah, my advice to you is inner child healing, freeing up that heart energy, and recognizing that those early messages that you received that said you weren't enough, or that you were bad or wrong for your unique individuality and creative expression, those are just simply not true, and it's actually even like the opposite. Okay, so thanks you guys. Thanks for watching. I'd love to know your experience with this placement or knowing people with this placement. And I do offer one-on-one sessions. My link is below. I offer 2 types of astrology sessions. One is a personal natal chart reading where we go deep into your unique soul purpose here. And the other is a relationship synastry chart reading where we do the relationship compatibility, showing the aspects and everything that's going on there with the relationship. Okay, love you guys. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.